happened already. My daughter, she's made sexual abuse allegations against the father. There was 2 FBI forensic interviews, but they could not investigate the sexual abuse because it did not occur in the United States. It happened in Canada. So on their affidavit for this protection order, they state that I'm talking about old historical sexual abuse allegations.
All right, we're back. I'm Vincent, and I'm on with my co-host, Nicole's, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. We're going to take another call, coincidentally, Brenda, from Nina from Virginia. Nina, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
I'm kind of like both in a way. So I'm dealing with Canada CAS, which is equivalent to CPS in Virginia. But they did a protection order application against me for emotional parental abuse against the father. Now, sorry, I'm just a little nervous. So from what's happened already, my daughter, she's made sexual abuse allegations against the father. There was 2 FBI forensic interviews, but they could not investigate the sexual abuse because it did not occur in the United States. It happened in Canada. So on their affidavit for this protection order, they state that I'm talking about old historical sexual abuse allegations that have been previously investigated by the FBI, and they're not obligated to come to a different conclusion than the FBI. So the FBI never did an investigation. Their hands are tied because it happened in Canada. Same thing with CPS in Virginia. My daughter's play therapist reported it to Virginia CPS, but they declined to investigate due to jurisdiction. And now she's back in Canada where we got traumatically separated at the border, which wasn't supposed to happen. But the Border Patrol and like the OPP, which is like their equivalent state troopers, they said, oh, well, America investigated this and they didn't see anything wrong for her being with dad. And I was like, no, they didn't. They didn't have the jurisdiction. And so we're stuck in this area where I'm on supervised visitations, like on video calls. The father knows that there hasn't been an investigation. He actually told the federal judge here that he'll do a polygraph and everything. But I'm in such a weird predicament right now because this is not what was supposed to happen. And now we're dealing with the FBI has written a letter to come on record to state, no, they never did an investigation. And what else you said about us talking to an officer in Canada, that never happened. Nor would we ever say that everything was unfounded. So what Canada's saying is that I coached her since America didn't charge her, and it's just like, wait a second, y'all are getting confused. No, you just put her with the perpetrator that actually has the alleged abuse against. There hasn't been an investigation. So I guess my question is, how could they lie about an FBI investigation that never took place and think that the FBI wouldn't come on record to state, hey, we never did an investigation? That's not accurate.
How can they just move their lips? That's how can.
Yeah.
They may be misinformed, right? Or they may have just told an outright lie. It's hard to tell. But is your case in Virginia or is your case in Canada?
My case is in both currently.
Okay. So there's something in something called the Hague Convention.
Yes, so that's what, sorry to interrupt. Yes, that's what we just did. And it was a Hague Convention that the FBI forensic interviews weren't allowed to be submitted in, so they were inadmissible. And then the judge ruled to have her return to Canada, even though she was wrongfully being retained in Canada in the first place. She's an American citizen, not a Canadian citizen. She was born in Virginia. And right now, that Hague that returned her back to Canada is up in an appeal in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. Like, the opening brief's already been submitted on October 4th and everything.
Okay, so your attorney submitted an opening brief?
Yes.
Okay. So, many years ago, I was involved in a case, a Hague case, that we went to trial on in Los Angeles County in the United States District Court. The name of the case was called Papakosmas versus Papakosmas. And we won, and the dad appealed it to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I guess you're in the second. And we won that, and there was a published decision. What I would suggest to you is that you go Google that case and read that decision, because it talks about the things and the issues that you're bringing up to me right now. And it's a little bit more complex and sophisticated, that we can't really get into the nuts and bolts of it right now on a very short radio call. But take a look at that case, and it will give you some guidance. And the other thing that you should do to give you further guidance, is you should try to take a look at the briefs that were filed in that case. So I filed a brief, the father's attorney filed a brief, and we filed a reply brief. And those things give great arguments and great reasons why the Hague should be interpreted one way or the other. And for many, many years, that case was like the only case cited in federal law about the Hague Convention for years. And then I think a subsequent case came out, but followed the ruling in the Papakosmas case. And if I can remember correctly, Papakosmas is spelled just like it sounds. And it was involving an American citizen, a woman, a mother, who we represented, and the father. I can't remember if he was an American citizen or not, but he was also a Greek citizen, and he was living in Greece, and he wanted the kids in Greece, and of course we wanted the kids here in California with the mother. So take a look at that case. That whatever is ruled in your Hague Convention decision is going to probably rule your case. And in your case, it sounds like you need to keep that case in Virginia, not let it go to Canada.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a federal judge that decided against you at the trial court level on the Hague issue?
Yes, he got a lot of information incorrect, and it's just. But before that, I had it in state court and the Circuit Court of Appeals from the juvenile court, and then we won jurisdiction back. Now, there was a Hague in Canada initially, which then they kept her on. She's wrongfully being retained in Canada by him, but she's well settled in with the abductor at the age of 3.
Right. But as I recall, and it's been many years, that may not be the controlling issue, in the case. Mm-hmm. The controlling issue is, first of all, where, who's going to have jurisdiction, Virginia or Canada. That's the most important part, because sometimes the laws are different, right? And you don't want to get stuck having to go to Canada to battle this out, just because of the transactional costs, right? You'd rather fight in Virginia. Do you live in Virginia right now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, take a look at those cases and the briefs, if you can find them. If you can't, call me, and I'll see if I can have someone in my office try to pull those up from archives and send you copies. Because, as I recall, it's not a confidential case. Hague cases aren't confidential.
No, they're not. They're public.
Right, they're public. All right, and if you, a lot of attorneys don't like to do this, but if your attorney ever wants to call me and ask me questions about it, I'd be happy to answer any questions he or she may have. After that case came out, for years, people used to call me from all over the country and the world, actually, asking me Hague Convention cases. It's kind of like, a very, very narrow specialty. And my opposing attorney at the trial court level and at the appellate level was a guy who was a well-known Hague Convention lawyer, nationally and internationally known, and he was from Texas. So I don't know if your opposing attorney is from Texas, but have your attorneys give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to them. All right?
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you for calling and thank you for listening. Call us back in 3 or 4 weeks. Give us an update on what's going on in your case. All right. All right. Brenda, what do you think about those? I saw you when I mentioned Hague Convention. You were shaking your head. Have you had any experience with that treaty?
Well, no, I have not, but I'm very familiar with it. What I was very curious about, because one thing about the Commonwealth State that most people don't know, unfortunately, judges have a lot of discretion in cases, in all the courts, and I'm not surprised. And I can hear that it was just a jurisdiction issue where Virginia, depending on where she's located, that was what I was curious about. I was also curious about, it was something that she said regarding her daughter at this. I know it's 3 years old, but I'm curious of the age right now, because in the state of Virginia, if that child is 16, they're not going to even look at it. They're not. They're going to allow that child to make a decision. And if they've already decided to put that child back in the care of the father, then that's what they're going to do. It's very unfortunate, but I have had some Commonwealth attorney here in the area, Shannon Taylor, a very good friend of mine for Henrico County. They explain the processes. And Shannon's very open and honest about it, because you won't find very often, is talk about a lot of the changes that we need to make in Virginia, especially in the Commonwealth states. In Virginia, it's really bad. Just knowing the court system myself, I'm just really curious to what area. I mean, whether it's what area she was located in, because that particular area would actually sort of give me an idea of just the judges, because of course the judges are appointed according to the governor, and of course we are a purple state right now, but we have a Democratic, we have a General Assembly, and we have a Democratic governor and Attorney General.
Well, Brenda, I think she said. I think
right, and we got an election coming up. But on the same token, if some of those judges have been sitting on those benches for long periods of time, and that's it.
Well, Brenda, I think she said that this case was decided by a federal judge in Virginia, not a Commonwealth judge, not a state judge.
Oh,
and by the way,
she did say that.
And Nina says that the child is now 5, and I think when all of this started off, she was only 3. We got to take a break right now. This is The Secret: How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. We'll be right back after these messages.